What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Let me see if we are live. Yes, we are. It's Big Game James in the house. And I got my guy, as usual, Mike White, Burgers and Blitzes. You know how we do every Thursday. We got a special guest today. Let me clear this off here right quick. 1 second. Clear this off here.
There you go.
There we go. Now I got my guy, Mr. Dalton Miller, Mr. Ace Man, Mr. Draft Man, Mr. Everybody's man. How you doing, Mr. Miller? Appreciate you.
Man, thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Hey,
I'm always down talking Cowboys.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been great times lately, but hey, you never know. The sky could be going up. If you listen to Mike White, he want to lose every damn game, but we want to create some positive energy right now. We don't want to listen to Mike White now.
You can lose. You can lose positively. We talked about this. The Chargers are losing positively every weekend. They're losing. They're losing in the most beautiful way you can. They have sunshine on the horizon, my friend.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. I mean, that is a good thing because the last two games, we at least feel better about the Philly and the Steelers game by the way the team fought. And that's the biggest thing that we wanted to see. Even when Dak went down, it's just like the team was deflated. I think it was like the post-Dak syndrome. It was kind of like, man, we know we out of it. Now it looks like they're like, hey, well, we can still compete because this division is terrible. What's your quick thoughts on just kind of the team's mindset right now after these two tough losses against Philly and Steelers heading into Minnesota, Dalton?
Man, honestly, I think that they're going to go out and they're going to continue to try to win games. I think that's why they're putting Andy Dalton out there in the field instead of Garrett Gilbert. But I think that they're quickly going to learn that with this offensive line, I think it's going to be best for them to actually play Garrett Gilbert. Now, we'll see if Andy Dalton is able to actually get to the last step of his drop and get rid of it. But with how poor this offensive line is played, you really need somebody with at least a little bit of mobility back there to create, out of structure. Otherwise, I don't really see how this offense really takes it to the next level because at this point, we're seeing that the offense is really more holding this team back than the defense at this point. They just how crazy is that to think of? Like this was a historically bad defense, and now it's the offense that is that bad. And what really has changed all that much since the second week of the season on offense?
Dak Prescott.
That's it. That's the only thing that's changed.
Right. And that's wild, isn't it? Isn't that wild how and it was so crazy is how good Dak was is Dallas still is highly ranked as far as an offense, even with their putrid offensive showing.
He's still above
some of the quarterbacks. The offense is still
all those guys in EPA and hadn't played since October 11th.
Right, and so it just validates what Dak really meant to the team. Yeah, definitely put some respect on his name. So it's kind of crazy how this is kind of going with that. So let's jump right into it with this Minnesota meeting. I just posted on my Twitter. I said this ain't gonna be no upset. Ain't gonna be no upset to me. They 4-5. They was 1-5. They on a 3-game win streak, but it ain't like they've been dominant. You know what I'm saying? Like they've been blowing teams out the water. I ain't scared of no Packers. I think they fraudulent. I think the Bears are fraudulent. So it's not like they had impressive teams they beat. So I don't know why this would be such a upset, especially when their defense is not the way it used to be. Fellas, interject on me. Tell me about this Minnesota matchup. I'm feeling real good about this that we can go in there and beat them.
Their pass rush and secondary is trash. They got a couple good linebackers.
Yeah. I mean, well, they lost my guy Holton Hill to a little foot injury, so he's out for the year. Now they're stuck playing with a couple of guys that I didn't mind, and then they have Chris Boyd from Texas. So they're young back there in the secondary for the most part, and I think that's really hurting them right now. I mean, as we've seen from if we look at all the yards per target or coverage yards allowed per play, like per pass. It's all young guys at the top of the list. Even Trayvon Diggs, who in the past couple of weeks before his injury was playing really well. When it comes to coverage snap or coverage yards per snap, he was, fourth worst in the league in that. And it's just because these young guys have to get ready and get going at that cornerback position. It's a tough transition. And I think that we're seeing that with some of those young guys in Minnesota. And then when I looked at this defense at the beginning of the year, it was unrecognizable, not just from what this Minnesota defense has been in the past, but I literally did not recognize a single interior defensive lineman.
The interior, they're gone.
Absolute no names. I didn't know one. The only one that I knew was Hercules Mataafa, and that's only because I studied him coming out of the draft, and he was a 250-pound defensive tackle. Right. And then guess what? They cut him. So there's nobody on that defensive line that I know. And obviously they have Yannick Ngakoue, but Yannick ain't playing like Yannick has in the past.
Right. And I totally agree with you, especially with that front line, because they had the big boys, they had the Linville Joseph, they had them stout guys, and that was what their claim to fame, because that really set everything up as far as their defense goes. Now they don't have that. Now they're not going crazy as far as teams rushing on them, giving up like 115 yards a game, but you can run on them. That is definitely proven. And just like you said, Dalton, you can definitely pass on them. They got Cameron Dantzler, they got Jeff Gladney, who I like. He's played commendable, but they're getting like 267 yards a game, and quarterbacks have had multiple touchdowns thrown against them. I think Aaron Rodgers had 4, Matt Ryan had 3. You can throw on this team. So I know even though we're quarterbackly challenged, do you think well, first of all, is it going to be Dalton or Gilbert?
It's Dalton. They still think they can win games with Dalton. They're not going
I'm looking at the chat right now. I want to amend that. Yannick is not with Minnesota anymore. He was with Minnesota. I forgot that they traded him. Thank you very much there.
I told you the chat don't play around, big dog.
That was quick. No, man, the chat don't play around. They call me slipping. Jeff Gladney from Fort Worth. Jeff Gladney was actually my CB2. I really liked him coming out of the draft.
Roquan Smith's having a better year in coverage than Gladney right now.
Yeah, he's gotten beat up a little bit. He's gotten beat up, and honestly, all of these rookie corners have gotten beat up. So
that's the way of a rookie corner, especially when you talk about Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs, the Cowboys haven't had a corner that's the number 1 wide receiver since Dion. They haven't had a shadow, and Trayvon Diggs is shadowed. He went through the murderer's row, man. Julio, Hopkins,
and you know what I noticed is all of those guys that were on the list for yards per coverage snap. All of those guys went up against DK Metcalf and Julio, except for the Atlanta guys. And there's 2 Atlanta corners on that: Kendall Sheffield and Terrell, or AJ Terrell, both on there. Or no. It was the slot corner. Who's the slot corner there? Why am I
for Atlanta?
For Atlanta.
Huh?
Yeah, Johnson.
Jalen Johnson was on. It was Jalen Johnson and AJ Terrell.
Yeah. No, it was Sheffield. It was Sheffield was the one that was on the list, though.
There was one I seen this morning that had Jalen Johnson and AJ Terrell on it as well.
Well, Jalen Johnson's not very good. People wanted to talk about him being good at the beginning. First of all, Jalen Johnson he played safety in his final year at Utah, and I
was all over him.
I didn't want to draft him. I didn't like. He's a good cover guy. He's for the most part he's good in coverage. He's just so soft. I did not want him on my football team.
He's surrounded by all pros. Trayvon Diggs is out there on the literally Diggs Island that he had to create himself his rookie year. And then until they started playing Wilson, he had below replacement level safety play back there.
Yeah, and Jalen Johnson fell over the other day off a slant route. So.
Hey, so did J.C. Jackson when they were trying to lose that game.
But J.C. Jackson got 6 interceptions, man. That boy,
and he basically got clumsy as hell when they was trying to lose that game.
Well, let me ask y'all this, fellas. We're talking about, because I ain't scared of no Kirk Cousins. He's a goofy. He's a goofy to me. Nobody's worried about him. All right, what do you think? What do you think we need to do as far as stopping Dalvin Cook? Does it need to be a certain type of way? Do we need to really attack them? I know. Do we need to play some Sean Lee more in that game so we don't have to worry about false steps from some Jalen Smith? Does Joe Thomas maybe need to play a little more? What do you think we need to do with that? Because I'm gonna ask you, Dalton, right quick, and then you might. I think that front line is playing better. With Gallimore stepped up last week. Antoine Woods has been playing better since Poe has been gone, and I really I think he took that personal and why Poe was going, and he really wanted to start. So I think you're really seeing that him working hand in hand. Hamilton gives you a little bit, not really crazy about him, but he gives you a little bit of size in that middle. Where do you think we really need to do as far as to stop a Dalvin Cook in this game, Dalton?
Play 13 guys on defense.
We're gonna bring Rob Ryan back.
No lie. Joshua Parker said run a 4-4 defense. Yes, run a 4-4 defense, but then also have 5 defensive backs. How about that? It's going to be really tough to stop Dalvin Cook, just because Dalvin Cook does something really interesting, and he bounces the ball quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And for a guy who, came out and didn't run a great 40, but we knew that he had speed when he was coming out of the draft. Mm-hmm. That man presses the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he presses that hole.
He presses the line of scrimmage really well, and then what he does is, instead of moving laterally, he literally just presses and flips his hips and is at 100% going towards the edge, and it's so hard for guys to try to fill in a gap and then flow outside, and that's what he really wants to do, is get to that outside, and then once he does that, I mean, good luck tackling him if you're a cornerback or a safety. That man is going to stiff arm you into oblivion. So, I mean, what you really have to do is make sure he doesn't get to the outside, have your defensive ends play legitimate contained football, and then hopefully your linebackers can at least survive for the game.
Dude, let me ask you this, Mike. They have the Adam Thielen, they have Rudolph, and I'm going to ask you about this, Dalton, because you talked about this early on your Twitter. And, Mike, they got Justin Jefferson, the rookie, who's been doing phenomenal. Diggs is out. What do you think that they do? Is Cheeto's coming back in? Do you think it's going to be a situation where we play a lot of zone? Do they press them? Do you think we're going to play?
They're not going to have Cheeto shadow. You're talking about now it's a 7-week hamstring injury. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have him dragging up and down across the field chasing those guys. Mm-hmm. They're going to play zone. They're going to try to keep everything in front of them. It's going to be a lot of bend but no break, because they got wore out Dalvin Cook had 156 yards after contact last season. Mm-hmm. That's why they lost that game. They couldn't stop that outside zone. Mm-hmm. So they're going to try to keep everything in front of them, play zone defense as much as they can, and I don't know. Like, if I'm not worried about them attacking in the middle of the field with a passing game, so I'm debating on, do you have LVE just spy Dalvin Cook the entire damn game like he's a quarterback and hope for the best on your outside, because Justin Jefferson's going to get his yards. I mean, he's their number one wide receiver. He's going to get it. He's going to get his yards. You have nothing for him. You have nothing for them in the passing game, but they're not going to attack it because it's Mike Zimmer. Yeah, they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, and I sat down and I watched all of Justin Jefferson's targets last night and this morning, and what I noticed was he's winning in a lot of the same ways that we see CeeDee Lamb winning right now. It's a lot of crossing over the field, finding open spots in zones, and then making those nice catches contested, on the sideline. That's one thing with Justin Jefferson coming out, and CeeDee Lamb for that matter. Those dudes just didn't drop the football ever. We've seen CeeDee drop a couple passes this year so far, but Justin Jefferson has been fantastic so far in there. And I think what makes him so good is he's so awkward in the way that he moves that I don't think that defenders are ready for what he's giving. So he is like super long-legged in the way that he runs. He doesn't have a ton of like immediate juice off the line of scrimmage. And I think that's why when you look at him playing on the outside, he's not, really, he's performing okay out there, but most of the work that he's really getting is from tight splits where guys aren't pressing him. And that's because he does have some issues in that area. So like with him, a lot of what he does is he has that elongated rocker step, which is like, for people that watch basketball, it's pretty much a Euro step. You're kind of crossing your feet over. And that's what he does. And that gets guys really far off of their base. And in these timing routes that he's running, he knows, and Kirk Cousins has enough of a relationship with him at this point to where he gets that timing. And as soon as he gets out of his break, he's good. But for as long-legged as he is, he stops immediately. And that's how he gets open on these stop routes and these comebacks.
It's insane.
It's an interesting way that he runs routes, but it is super effective. And for a guy who's not very big, not very fast, it's a guy who kind of like a Stephon Diggs, he's just going to get open.
Right.
And he's going to be good for a really, really long time in the league. And like Mike was saying, there's really no way for the Cowboys to match up with him and Thielen man-to-man. It's just not going to happen. So I expect them to run zone. I expect them to get beat underneath mostly. I think that they're going to try to take over the top away, and they're going to find those honey holes and they're going to move the ball down the field, and then the Cowboys defense is going to try to stop them in the red zone.
They could legitimately have 400 yards of offense and 1 touchdown through the air.
Yeah.
Just because it's going to be that Rod Marinelli that they just it's going to be not prevent, because prevent defense is a devil. They're just going to try to keep everything in front of them and try to keep Dalvin Cook from getting outside on those zone reads, and try to, because they got tore up last year, man. If you go look at Kirk Cousins' passing chart from the 2019 game. I love Byron to death, but they went after him all game long because they know he can't come up and fill a run gap, and they threw those screens all day long to his side, and they just boom, 10, 15, 10, 15, 10, 15, 10, 15, touchdown.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that plans out. But when you were talking about that, Dalton, about his that kind of Euro step type of move, that kind of shake. If you look at Devontae Adams, I don't know if he's mimicking him, but if you see Devontae Adams, that's one of the things he does when he's getting off the line of scrimmage, that kind of quick shake move. And he says a lot of other receivers don't do, and he said it's kind of his thing that he'd like to develop. And I'm seeing Justin Jefferson kind of doing that same thing and having a lot of effectiveness from it. So maybe he was looking at school, and it's funny that they are 1 and 2 per Pro Football Focus as the top receivers at their craft, with Justin Jefferson having a ridiculous season. It's kind of messed up that you saw CeeDee Lamb doing everything that Justin is getting off now, but then Dak goes down and now he's influx. Compare those two in your opinion, Dalton. You watched the draft, you've seen both of them, LSU, Oklahoma. Kind of compare those two as far as we know. We see the rookie year, but what's the kind of differences that kind of maybe separate the CeeDee Lamb from a Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, CD is just a little bit more refined in the way that he moves. And I think that really helps him get open. And comparatively, like I said, they both have really, really nice hands. I think that, they both kind of play at around the same speed. I know that Justin Jefferson tested better. He, in the chat, your chat is very good. He ran a 4.41 at the combine, and it surprised everybody when he did it.
Yeah, that's
it surprised everybody that CD ran a 4.56 too.
Yeah,
they didn't expect it to be that slow.
No, I mean, I think that in reality, like when we look at it, they're probably both like high 4.4 guys, a 4.48, 4.49, somewhere around 4.5. But it doesn't really matter because that's not how they win. They win because they're nuanced in the way that they move, in the way that they leverage themselves up against corners, and then honestly, like both of them feast against zone coverage, and that is a skill. It is a skill to be able to find the open spots in zone coverage. They both have great hands. They can both win vertically at all 3 levels. They have it all, and I think that that's really what made them, made Justin Jefferson. Obviously, he had all the production in the world. CeeDee Lamb had always kind of been that guy. Justin Jefferson came on late at LSU,
right.
And I think that is really the only reason why he wasn't taking over a guy like Jalen Reagor, is he just didn't have that fanfare going into the year that Reagor had. A lot of people want to jump on the Eagles for taking Reagor over Justin Jefferson, and I like Jefferson more than I liked Reagor. I thought he was a lot more polished as a receiver, but I thought that in Philly, getting Jalen Reagor in that niche to just get the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands, I thought that that's kind of where he would be able to work. And then obviously the injuries have happened, and they haven't been able to do anything with that. But
nobody thought he'd take a quarterback downgrade by going to the NFL either.
Exactly. But for me, Justin Jefferson was a guy who in this class, I mean, he might be wide receiver 3. wide receivers. And this class might be better overall, like from a top to bottom standpoint. But I don't think you have, Henry Ruggs, people are going to say was over. He was always going to take time to develop. But CD and Jerry Jeudy, I mean, those two were just at another level.
They're clones. It's funny that their skill set's different.
Yeah,
they are literally they have the exact same
size
body.
and weight. Seeing both of those guys in person was interesting because I was at MJ D Performance over here, Michael Johnson Performance, and watching those two guys run around together and seeing, because Jerry Jeudy, man, those feet are unbelievable.
Yeah.
The difference between him and CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb's going to catch almost everything that comes to him, and he's more of a vertical threat than a guy like Jerry Jeudy is. Honestly, for this passing attack that we have in Dallas, CeeDee Lamb was the best fit, and for him to fall in our lap was unbelievable.
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, well, since I've been bringing up the CD thing, and we're talking about him right now. I made a couple of videos where I was bouncing off my guy, Katie Drummond. I'm sure you know him, where he's been tossing out and throwing about Amari Cooper when we're talking about salary cap probably dropping down. They're going to need money for that because they're most likely going to try to tag him again. And he had threw out there, could the Cowboys look to possibly, looking to trade him or, get him off the books because the way the contract is structured. What's your kind of thoughts about that? Because I said it a couple months ago, D, that I thought CD was going to be the number one regardless. I mean, you could see it already. No shade on Amari, but you just see it. You see it. It ain't no shade against no Amari. So it's like, I mean, if you're trying to get money, is it really going to cripple the team? Let's say if you trade him, and I don't think you're going to get a first, but let's say they had a high second. Would you consider something like that, or will you just keep Amari on the books?
Man, that's a good question because I love having three good receivers. I love having three good receivers. I struggle with Amari because for me, Amari is the most talented wide receiver on this roster, and it's not close. He is a legitimate talent. He's a freak. It's the consistency of it. And I wish that we would have gotten a full season with Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. But we're seeing that without Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup has gone away. He's gone. He's nowhere to be found. Okay. I see your face. I see your face.
I think it's what they're asking him to do. He's clearing off the top. He's running so many goals.
But that's what I'm saying is that's been his game. And without Dak Prescott.
People are using it as a shot at Gallup.
Oh no, it's more a shot at the offense and what we're able to do right now.
I know you're not taking it, but a lot of people be, where's Michael Gallup been since Dak got hurt?
But that's Michael Gallup's game. Michael Gallup's game is winning, over the top, and he's a great.
Look at Dak's favorite third down wide receiver, and it'll be Michael Gallup.
And CeeDee Lamb was his favorite third down wide receiver this year.
But here's my question though, D. We love Michael Gallup, but just like you said though, he's not the guy that's getting all these catches. We saw how he trended the second year. Now when he's looking to come for a contract, Dak is out, and he looks like is he a guy that's really going to get you like 80, 90 catches a year? That's why he is a secondary guy where people are like Gallup is trending to be a number one. No, I think Gallup is always going to be the number two.
Yeah, and I want to answer the question about Cooper. I think with what Dalton Schultz has done this year, and with Blake Jarwin coming back next year, I think that you can draft and develop another wide receiver if you were to get rid of Amari Cooper. This wide receiver class is going to be really, really good. It might be better, like I said, it might be better than even last year's class, top to bottom. So you might be able to get another guy in the draft class if you're able to move Amari Cooper in the offseason. And then if you want to, you can pull a little bit of a page from, the Philadelphia Eagles, and you can play, Blake Jarwin in the slot or on the outside even. And then you can play Dalton Schultz in line if you want an inline tight end, and you can work your wide receiver along as he develops and get him more snaps as the season progresses, and you can run a little bit more 11 personnel than 12 personnel because we all know that we want to run 11 personnel. We want to get those big plays on the field and get that ball down the field.
That's right.
All right. So If somebody came at you with a 2, D.
If somebody comes at me with a 2 that I think is going to be a high 2, I'll probably take it. Yeah.
Okay.
For the salary cap relief, because at the end of the day, the number one goal is to pay Dak.
Right. I mean, and just like you said, everything you just said, and it's no shade on Amari Cooper, but this is a business, right, fellas? This is a business, and you're always trying to prove it. Once you got a CD Lamb, that's the way it is. I've heard plenty of NFL players tell me as soon as they get drafted, the next guy drafted behind you is there to take your spot. So that's just the way the reality of it is. So, and the way they structured that contract, it just seemed like, we're going to kind of keep it, we're going to keep our eye on you. So if anything happens, it'll be an easy kind of slice away of the pot. Now let's talk about another player that's been heavy in the news. I said Mike Dunn spoke it in the spirit and in the football realms. Jalen Smith, it came out, John Josh Taylor, his opinion, I don't know, saying that people maybe in the front office or behind the scenes, Cowboys are saying Jalen needs to play better, or they may come at him with a pay cut or possibly a cut in the offseason. What's your thoughts about it? I say it's not going to happen because that's a Jerry Jones pick, and when Jerry Jones picks somebody and fall in love with somebody, he riding that out until the wheels fall off. And he just came out there saying this guy's our cornerstone. They just paid him this money. He's going to look at, he's making tackles. This is our GM. Remember, this is Jerry GM saying, oh, look, he's making all these tackles. He can play 3 downs. I don't see him cutting a Jalen Smith or anything. I feel you, Mike, but I don't see that happening with these Joneses, dog. You can do all that you want, but you know they ain't going to do it.
That, like we were saying before we went online, if they do that, that will let me know that this team is actually serious about winning football games. Period. And if they decide to not even remotely approach him, much less about a cut or a pay or even a pay cut, this team has no shot because you cannot. I'm just an idiot with a 22. I'm not some college scout or anything like that. I could turn a damn 22 on and watch this dude be terrible at football. And you're paid. This is your day in and day out. Talent acquisition's a 365-day-a-year business. This is your job. If you turn that film on and you watch that dude play football and you don't think he deserves to be cut, much less a pay cut, then you have no hope as a franchise. He's not an NFL football player. He's not.
My biggest issue with it is that they have one, if not two, better players on the roster that they could be playing over him right now, and they're not. And they won't. Because they paid him.
It's the money.
The money talks. It's at the end of the day, gentlemen, unfortunately, this is a business. People make bad business decisions, and then they compound that by continuing to make that bad decision or paying off that bad decision. And that's the way that it is. That's the way that this goes. And, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it has to be that way, but that's the way that it is right now. They're going to keep him. I can't envision them getting rid of him. If they do, that puts my excitement level from here going into next year to here.
Yeah, but see, that's what you're saying though, Mike. That's why I don't get excited. I get the false excitement every damn year, but deep down inside, I don't get excited because of that very reason, Mike. That very reason. They're not going to do that. They're not going to have the balls because listen to this. This is what I'm going to say. If they kept Tyrone Crawford on the roster, dog, for $8-9 million with bad hips, granny hips, you can't move. You sat out half the season all the year last year. You came in this year. They were talking about that their agent was going to approach the Cowboys for a pay cut to stay on the team. Cowboys were like, cool, dog, stay where you at. And you are still on the roster at 30-something years old and you're not producing. What makes me in the hell think you're going to have some balls to go and cut a Jalen Smith?
There was 2 things that went into that. They only had one DT at the time. And he shares an agent with a certain quarterback. And that agent, him and Stephen Jones went on speaking terms at that moment in time. They didn't speak for 6 months. Tyrone Crawford approached the front office about a pay cut and was right after like January 27th, right before the Super Bowl. Because he thought he was going to get cut. They denied that. Because they weren't even speaking to Todd France, and as long as Todd France represents Dak Prescott, this contract, that's another conversation. This contract can be an issue. Todd France and Stephen Jones hate each other.
Well, that's okay because I hate Stephen Jones.
Yeah, we all think we are.
I mean, all the say Stephen Jones.
Here's the bad part of this, D. I was frustrated with Jerry thinking, you know what, when Stephen, this was when I was just on my fandom until I got in the media. Once I got in the media, I got smart as shit. See, I was dumb as hell. They hood with me. They had me fooled. They had me all that day. But you know what? Once I got in media and was really getting in behind the scenes and took the fandom out of it, then I'm like, oh, hell no, dog. Steven, bro, you at least Jerry cared a little bit. You don't care. I don't mind him not caring about the player or whatever.
But their job, but at least Jerry let you put on lipstick.
But I don't even want that. Look, here's the thing. I don't even want that. I don't care if you don't love the players. But the thing is, you're the director. This is what bothers me about Stephen Jones. And I'm gonna keep going. I don't want to beat the head on it, but you've been raised in this. You're the director of player personnel. You've been raised. You haven't did no football stuff. You just daddy gave you the job, and that's what you are. You get what I'm saying? Look at our free agency. Now, I know that the last few years they actually jumped out there and did something, but he is the guy that's overhead of it. And look what we do. We ain't never get nobody in free agency worth some money. He already done said that, and he's been staying true to that. So where are we ever going to change from this dirty cycle? It ain't never going to change, dog. So it's hard for me to get excited, D.
I mean,
see, he know.
If you want to be,
he know. Look at him. He know.
I wasn't trying to be negative. I mean, it's such a low hanging fruit. You could easily say, but the fact of the day, at the end of the day,
we like our guys. We like our guys.
This team ain't going anywhere with Stephen Jones running the
Toot Robinson. I love that comment. Jerry care about y'all fans, steady supporting that foolery they putting on the field. Yes, and guess what? That's why I haven't watched a game live in weeks.
Well, that's why I don't go to them games. I ain't paying that.
I made the effort. I said it's done. I'm not watching them live anymore. I'm not giving them my ratings. I have an all 22 account. I'm going to watch the game over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to watch live and let you get those ratings from me. Now, I work at 105.3 The Fan, so I'm going to listen to Brad and Babe, but that doesn't go to the TV ratings. That is what Jerry really cares about. So listen, guys, I'm not telling y'all to not watch the games, okay? I'm telling y'all, if you can safely, go to a bar or a restaurant, or for whatever you do, don't illegally stream the game so you're not giving them the rating.
But if you have somebody who lives next door to you, like your neighbor, like maybe his name is, Scott White instead of Mike White, and he has an illegal stream, you can go to his house and watch it allegedly, through the window. You can sit in the backyard and you can watch it through the window.
I mean, I've been saying that. Like, check this out, D. I went to the last few years. I went to some Cowboys games, but I had to hook up, big dog. Wasn't no payment plan coming out there. I had to hook up. You feel me? And 3 years ago, when we lost to Atlanta, I went to Atlanta and I paid for that game, and I was as mad as hell just about the product. And I said, I don't care. I'm not doing that. I bought hats, sweatshirts, all that, and it's just like I'm not gonna keep getting gassed up with this foolery, because that's the only way we're going to stop. Because you guys know as well as I do, once Jerry starts seeing that money going down, the fans not coming as much, or the ratings going down a little bit, then that's when they start wanting to cut people. And also when they start wanting to go ahead and start getting rid of people.
We made it past the trade deadline. We made it past the trade deadline without them burning that first round pick like they did with Roy Williams and all them sucker asses, Joey Galloway and all that.
But you know what? We was talking about that. We was talking about that, how Stephen Jones pumped out his chest with Amari Cooper, about him doing it. That's why he gets on my nerves, because see, he pumps his chest out. Ooh, look what I do with Amari Cooper. Look how I saved us from not getting Johnny Manziel with Zach Martin. He pumps his little chest out about that stuff, dog. And we ain't talking about that no more. Meanwhile, you doing all that talking, all these other players going to these other teams, and they getting there and these championships and Super Bowls, and we still talking about we like our guys after 25 years, dog. That gets annoying.
Hey, Roy, meet me in Verdansk. You can see my .2 KD. How about that? Sorry. I got some shit talking about Warzone going on right now in your chat.
I love it. That's what we have.
1.2, baby.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, man, but you're caping for Jalen. Don't be caping for a linebacker that's got 80% completion percentage on his career and misses 10% of his tackles. Don't be caping for Jalen. The dude chases fishing lures out the backfield like they got the ball. No, that's not the one you want to be caping for. I'm sorry. He's not a starting NFL caliber linebacker. If that upsets you, that's just the way it is.
You can't watch the tape from what we've saw from Joe Thomas early in the year, what we've seen in limited action from Sean Lee, and tell me that those guys are not better than Jalen Smith right now. You can't do it.
And here's the thing. It's never going to change because of that knee. It's never going to change. It's not like it's going to miraculously all of a sudden.
No. He can not overrun or underrun plays without a good knee. He could do the right thing when he is supposed to. The fact is, and Cowboys fan 1977 just said it. He's lost. He's a
football IQ issue that was masked by having teleport.
Exactly. He was such a freak athlete in college that it didn't matter. He was able to do whatever he wanted to because he was a better athlete than everybody else on the field.
Yes. He's like Scott. He's a brilliant human. Jalen Smith is smarter than I'll ever. I can barely read or write. Jalen Smith is smarter than anything I'll ever do in the history of the universe. He is a football.
Well, and the other issue is switching.
You're so mean, Mike.
He is for sure. But the other issue is moving him from Mike to Will, because now he can't just come downhill. He has to read and react, and he's got to scrape, and he can't.
And this defense, and remember, fellas, who was the first one out there complaining about he couldn't? Maybe they need to simplify it and dumb it down. He was the first one to come out and say that.
But you got kids in Alabama taking 30 credit hours to learn to do defense every week from the team they're going up against. But you're quote unquote professional athlete and you can't handle a simple 4-3 playbook. Come on, dude.
And I mean that's
I think the biggest issue, part of the biggest issue, is moving him from Mike to Will, because it's a completely different game over there. He was the reason why he was so productive in 2018 is because he was able to get downhill and make splash plays. That is what made him good. He was able to get downhill quickly, be responsible for one gap, and shoot that gap and sometimes make a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. And the other one, the 260-pound mammoth of a linebacker that we have, the 260-pound dude is a better Will linebacker than he is a Mike. Mm-hmm. Because he's not tough. And I don't want to say the Wolf Hunter is not tough, but he's not a guy who's going to get up there and stack and shed offensive guards and centers. He didn't do it in college. No, he would much rather play finesse and scrape and run after dudes.
He's an oversized Bobby Carpenter.
So basically, let me ask y'all this. So then basically, was that? Yeah, don't do that to him. Don't do that to LV, dog. Well, let me ask y'all this. So was 2018 a mirage for both of them guys? Then it was a mirage.
A little bit of.
So was it? So basically, is it? So it is the scheme. So what you're telling me, because Marinelli was the more simplified scheme with the one gap system, and it was one thing, one gap and read. And that's all it was. And even the interior alignment was to shoot straight up the field, get up in that backfield. It was, and that's why they were always getting peeled on the backside, and guys were always running behind them, because that's what the defense is. So now when we talking about Mike Nolan, everybody's saying Mike Nolan's trash. Is it the players that was trash, or is it Mike Nolan?
Yeah, and that's
Mike Nolan inherited the dumpster fire. Yeah. People want to get mad at him for fucking. Mike Nolan may be trash. Yes. That dude, he
actually probably is trash.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Mike Nolan's trash, but he also inherited trash. Yeah. So he took trash, and he's trash, and he can't make trash shine any more than it is, because he can't even turn it to recyclable. It's still trash.
And that's the thing with it is, we talked about, earlier last year, the years before, they're like, we don't run a complex scheme because our players don't like that. Our players can't do it. And then it gets to this year, and they do try to change the scheme, and the players are like,
Right.
Somebody get Jalen his flashcards. Somebody get Jalen his
and they can't handle it. And listen, like I understand that you had an offseason that was cut short. And I understand that you weren't able to get that time on the field moving, see things. That's what you got to do when this happens. When, the number one wide receiver goes vertical, you take vertical with him. If he stops, then you keep going vertical because you're looking for the smash route. Like all of these things that should have happened on the field, it wasn't able to happen. And then you get these guys that are just like this, freaking out in the secondary, and that's how you get 40 points put up against you in the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Well, other than the Rams, but that was just a weird week one game.
Playing a game that, the defense actually played fairly well the first half, and the offense returns the favor and puts the ball on the ground 3 times. They gave them back 3 free possessions, and the offense decided to do shit all with it.
Yep.
And,
Dak fumble, and was it one Zeke fumble, and then
didn't Pollard lose the ball too?
I don't know. We just all lose the ball in Dallas.
Yeah, everybody loses the ball. Hey, you want the ball? Go ahead, throw it to them. You lose it too. Everybody, make sure everybody gets the ball.
No, that was always my favorite thing. It's like, we practice turnovers every day.
Yeah.
You obviously don't do it right because you don't get any turnovers on defense.
I thought they were practicing turning
the ball.
Practicing turnovers. Yeah, like, here you go, defense.
Yeah, man, it's wild. But you know what? I will say we also had guys dropping interceptions that we had plenty would-be interceptions that guys are dropping. So they got to do better as well. I mean, Diggs dropped one. Dropped a few. Woods, of course. I think Wilson did.
That's right.
Daryl Worley dropped one. So it's been on them. They got to do better. But let's swing this to, because I want to talk about some of the young guys on the team, especially the defense. Who would you like to see get on that? Who's impressed you as a rookie or a young person so far, D? And who would you like to see get on this field?
Well, you need to see Bradley and I on the field. Get that kid on the field. Get him some reps. They really, really like Dorrance Armstrong.
GM Jerry said he's doing great.
GM Jerry said he was doing great. And listen, I was a fan of Dorrance Armstrong.
Where's 94?
I was a fan of Dorrance Armstrong coming out of Canada.
Me too.
And he never took that next step that I always thought he was going to take. He has the ability. That's what's so crazy. He has the size, the metrics, and the ability, but he just can't. It's not happening. Yeah, it doesn't really happen. For me, I'm excited about Donovan Wilson on the defensive side of the ball. He's not somebody who I was super excited about, and I think that's what makes me so excited, because the first couple of weeks that he was getting game time, he was running around like crazy, like a chicken with his head cut off. He was hitting dudes, he was making plays, but he was playing really bad. Like he was running around and making plays, but as a down-to-down player, he was bad. And now he's starting to get that going, and he's played well and played better every single week. And I think just getting more time on task, I think he's going to keep getting better until he ends up plateauing. And that's what we need to always talk about. And it's something that we don't talk about enough. It's how we get so hyped up about guys like Xavier Woods and other guys on this football team. At the end of the day, these guys were still 6th-round picks. What we see of them as a rookie, that might be their best football ever. And we need to understand that. Like Xavier Woods, he's a good player. He is a starting caliber safety in the NFL. He's nothing more than that. And we always, in every single offseason, we've said he's going to take the next step. He's going to take the next step. He's going to be a Pro Bowler. And it never happened. And we need to continue to be hopeful, but to temper our expectations towards all of these guys, because at the end of the day, we can't have 11 All-Pros.
You don't get drafted day 3 if you're a top 20 talent. Period.
Yeah,
unless you shot somebody or something.
It rarely happens. You every once in a while you'll get your Tom Brady, but you can't bet on your Tom Brady.
He wasn't a top 20 talent though. That was nobody even know who Tom Brady was, in his damn white his baby blue boxers looking like Tony Romo.
He could barely start at Michigan.
Nobody even knew who the hell he was.
He could barely start at Michigan. Now he's the best quarterback of all time for some people.
Well, for some people, it ain't for me. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation, as Mike likes to say. But okay, so you talked about Bradley and I want to see him out there. We definitely agree that he needs to take Dorrance Armstrong Jr. snaps, because Armstrong Jr. ain't gonna come back. Y'all ain't re-signing him, so stop fooling everybody. And this is your draft pick. Play him. Reggie Robinson. Why isn't he playing? Is it because he can't transition to safety? What is going on? And since Trevin Diggs is out, Why can't he get on the field? And you're playing Savion Smith. Somebody answer me that on this right here, right now.
They're trying to get a comp pick for Xavier Woods. That's the only thing I can think about.
But you'd be be playing him at corner. You'd be playing.
Already transitioned into safety.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, first of all, it doesn't make sense to me to switch him to safety at all. His build, his athleticism, he is a corner. I don't really understand it. But for him to not play corner when your team was decimated with injuries and you were playing Savion Smith and Daryl freaking Worley.
Mm-hmm.
Just throw the damn rookie out there and see what he's got.
It's the same thing we did with Wilson last year when dudes, Jeff Heath and Xavier Woods are getting. Wait, how many safeties got hurt last year? 4, and they brought more people in instead of giving Donovan Wilson a try. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Some of the stuff they do doesn't make sense. Y'all want to talk about Bradley and I though? You want to go a little tinfoil hat with me? DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory are sick. Be a good time to get those rookies some snaps up there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, see, this is what frustrates me.
Too.
Yeah, I already said I'm gonna jump on Carter right quick, but I want to bounce off this Donovan Wilson thing right quick, Dave. I want to bounce off this because this is what I was frustrated. I made a video about him this summer saying I like the way he plays. It's just something about I like his attitude. He tries hard. He's always trying to learn and get better, and I like that. And I felt that if you paired a really good safety with him, he could be better. Okay, and when Dave Hellman was on the show, Brian Broaddus was on the show, I kept asking him, why isn't Donovan Wilson ain't getting no tick? Well, there might be a reason why. It was with this regime he didn't play. It's with the new regime he didn't play. Maybe it's just he ain't that good. Then I hear Mike Nolan say, well, some guys, the reason why they're backups is like that. But then when I see him play, I'm like, okay, well, what did y'all all not see? Because it looks like the more he's playing, he's getting better. Why in this in y'all NFL coaches? That's frustrating me.
This team in particular. I mean,
who is? That's what I'm saying. Who is control of this, y'all? Is it the staff or the guys on the? Is coaches making? What's going on?
It's the NFL, man. It's the crusty ass, these dusty ass farts, and they don't they did it with Miles Austin. Other teams have done it. Every team. We just pay more attention to this team. There's a team, I guarantee you there's at least 28 other teams right now where somebody is probably having the exact same YouTube show for their team talking about why can't we get so-and-so on the field? Why can't we get him on the field when this other dude's giving up 80% completion percentage and he don't know his head from a hole in the ground and he couldn't find his ass with a flashlight, and instead we keep trotting him out there every weekend. It's an NFL problem, and honestly, I just think we highlighted a lot more because it's this team, and we can think about all the different players through the years that they've left rot in cobwebs, and then they go to another team and ball out. We're like, told you, the dude. I told you the dude could play.
Marvelin Group has a good comment here, and I know that Cole Beasley is a topic that not a lot of people like to get into.
Mm-hmm.
But he said
the front office gets the ball who they want to. That's why I just said it again. That's why we're going to keep going in this nasty, dirty circle.
The front office is why 21 still seeing the ball. Wow. The front office is why 54 didn't get benched.
And
period.
And no hate on Sean Lee. People be thinking I hate him, but it's the front office that kept him here when he basically get hurt, and he basically didn't have no damn training camp. I don't care, dog. I don't care.
Sean Lee came back 2 weeks ago and defense starts.
I know that, but that ain't I feel that, but that ain't the point to me. The front office just let Sean Lee just ride and whatever, and he just stays on the roster and don't even practice. That's
and we've seen this before. I mean, they did it on purpose. They did it with Witten and Jarwin. Jarwin was easily the better player at that point. And they just kept riding with Witten because the secret's in the dirt, baby. That's why they stuck with him, because he's a legend, and that's it. And he was well past his prime.
They gave Jason Witten and the fullback the cap hit that the Honey Badger had last year. He wasn't a scheme fit. They had to go to the Bahamas. You know who was in the Bahamas with him? Jason Witten, big-headed ass.
Of course, we already know. But hey, I got a donation from my dog, Young Wilson. Hey ho for the $4.99 holler. He comes from Hawaii. Aloha, big game, James. Said we need a true D tackle, one nose guard. There's a guy from Maryland. Come on, Steven Jerry, and a safety to boot. Let's already jump in this draft because I'm not going to keep you guys too much longer. But let's jump in this draft right quick because it's a hot topic, D. Because obviously we're 2-7. I think the Cowboys are going to win some games, just like probably accidentally, because I think just how the schedule goes and just how the teams that we play, I don't think it's formidable. But let me ask you this. Let's say by chance we don't win another game. Okay, let's just say by chance we end up 2-14. This by chance. What should the Cowboys do if they have that top 3 pick? Should they go the route of the Sewell? I believe that's his name, the offensive tackle that everybody's talking about, or should they wheel and deal, trade, get some picks? What's your thought on that right now?
So your absolute number one is to try to trade down. The issue with the trade down, if you have the number 3 pick, is you need a team that is going to want to trade up for a quarterback. Now, luckily, there's 4 legitimate quarterbacks who could possibly go in the top 10. Like there's 4 guys that teams could really, really like. So you would really love to trade back and be able to get a guy like Patrick Surtain from Alabama, or Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech, who opted out this year. So you got to go back to his 2019 tape to watch him. A guy like Sean Wade, who, listen, I know a lot of people are saying that he's not playing well so far this year. I'm actually tasked with the Pro Football Network to watch him specifically every week. He has not been that bad. He got beat up by some amazing catch point catches in that Penn State game. And so he's playing fine. And then you also have guys like J.C. Horn from South Carolina, who just declared as well. He's a guy who might end up being in that top 2 or top 3 cornerback discussion as well. And he's an asshole, man. He is that type of attitude that you really like to have on your defense.
We need attitude and asshole.
And one that we need on our defense. And so that's why a guy like J.C. Horn for me is really big. But if we get stuck at 3, and I really want to talk about that, because
talk about it.
If we get stuck at 3, when we have to make a decision, it depends on what they do with Jalen Smith. If they bite the bullet and they cut him, or they trade him, or they get rid of him somehow, or they are okay with playing him as a Sam linebacker, you can talk me in to Parsons. I don't want to take a linebacker high.
You want to go a linebacker that high?
No, I don't want to go that high. For me personally, I'm going Penei Sewell.
Take Jamar
But I don't
Chase.
like that either.
Take Jamar Chase.
He wants Jamar Chase. And so does my homeboy.
Jamar Chase ain't even wide receiver 1.
I don't want no Jamar Chase, dog.
He's not wide receiver 1.
Okay.
I don't want.
For me, okay, so for me,
But
with this wide receiver class, like, we're going to be picking at the top of the second, too. If we really want a wide receiver, Devontae Smith is going to be there.
I'm saying I'm taking the damn wide receiver.
Devontae Smith from Alabama, right?
I'm going to go lay down in the woods and die.
Devontae Smith from Alabama, right?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is there's going to be a guy. There's going to be a guy around that caliber. And exactly, Ruglock just said, Surtain isn't a top 5 pick, though, in my opinion. I agree. That's why the best thing you can do is try to trade down to around 10. That's where you really want to end up. You want to be able to trade back. I just don't know if there's going to be a suitor to be able to do that. So if you get stuck at the 3rd pick, what can you do? And legitimately, it's Penei Sewell or Micah Parsons. I don't really have a better option for you there.
Oh, and that linebacker at 3, that's scary, dog. That's just scary. That's scary as hell to me.
It's terrible. It's awful. I don't want to do it.
The team builder in me would rather take Zach Wilson. But I know that these idiots, this front office, we would end up with Frank Gore in a 3rd round comp pick or some shit for Dak. Like they would totally ham fist that situation. Like they don't even know what to do with one quarterback. What would they do with 2?
No, they don't know how to draft no quarterbacks. I look at the history since Aikman went. I don't want them to even do that because they'll mess that up.
Garbage. Every quarterback that you tried for has been garbage, and one was a garbage criminal. Like,
That's why everybody jumping up here and getting all excited. I ain't excited because I don't know what the hell these dudes gonna do with these picks, man. And I'm nervous because I'm thinking
I'm at the point where you might as well win the damn division. I'm less scared about the pick at 19 than I am 5.
I am too. What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that, D?
So I don't like the third pick. I actually hate the third pick.
No, I don't want that pick. I feel like they're going to mess it up.
Here's the thing, though. After that pick, you have the third pick in the second round, the third pick in the third round, the third pick in the fourth round, and that is where you make your money.
That's where you
high pick
right.
Other rounds of the draft.
Right.
You're talking sense.
And Brandon Boyce brings it up. Take the premier left tackle. And guess what? Penei Sewell, with the way that he plays, he's coming in and he's playing left guard right away, starting, and he is miles better than your current left guard.
Well, we know that, but okay,
I just don't know what else to do.
We just had Duke Manyweather on the show a couple days ago, and he trained Connor Williams. He said his best football is ahead of him. I'm sorry, I ain't hating on Connor, but I ain't believing that. I'm a Texas guy. I watch my Texas. I ain't believing it. So what are they gonna do with this, D? Because Connor McGovern, dog, didn't show terrible in them two games, and he like a rookie. Yeah. What's going on?
I at this point, like, first of all, I love Duke. Duke is an absolute legend and a great trainer. But at the end of the day, he is a trainer, and he will always cape for his guys. Connor Williams.
I told my Boothang that.
Connor Williams was an offensive tackle, and they forced him into guard because they had 2 offensive tackles. What's up?
Why don't they play him at tackle? Why don't they play him at tackle the rest of the year?
Dog, they won't. They had Brandon Knight at left guard in the off season, and we saw last year he played at right tackle in college. He played swing tackle when La'el Collins went out and when Tyron Smith got hurt, and he played very good. And the first person they throw out there is Terrence Steele, and they had Brandon Knight at guard, dog.
I don't know why you wouldn't play Connor Williams at tackle. That's
what do you have to lose? You're already losing.
Exactly, you're already losing. You have Connor McGovern on the inside.
And he didn't look bad against Washington. Yeah. Connor McGovern didn't get pushed around and I'm not saying Connor Williams is having his best statistic, but I keep watching that all 2020. He wasn't getting pushed around, dog. Connor McGovern was not. He was moving people, and that's one. You're supposed to be a mauler at the guard. Why did Dallas so good when we had Ron Leary? Because we finally had somebody can maul. Why is Zach Martin so damn good? Because he can maul you.
Why do we like soft-ass players?
I said, man, you got Joe Philbin. He know everything.
I just look at our draft picks. We like soft-ass players. Who's the hardest player we've drafted? I know this is a caveman, just watch the game, anything. I don't know what the hell you want to call it. But who's the last player you actually scared of? La'el Collins? They didn't even draft him. He had a murder charge. They had to go get him with the airplane. Jerry Jones flew down to Louisiana.
He didn't have a murder charge. He
implicated in a murder.
Yes.
Well, this is what you're saying right there. When I had George Teague on here a couple months ago, and I've been saying it, we soft, dog. Like, who do we have that you scared of on our team that's going to – I mean, that was dope what Antoine Woods did it for the, defending the star and Randy Gregory. But I'm talking about coming into the game where you're fearing – you don't walk in there fearing nobody from Dallas, dog. You don't. You don't fear nobody from our defense. Y'all know if y'all punch us in the mouth, we're eventually going to fold. And that's the way the organization is. But once again, the low-hanging fruit, I don't give a shit. It starts from the top. If your top is soft, it's going to trickle all the way down to the bottom, doesn't it?
Yep, and Montana says this in the chat here. He says because we're a soft-ass fan base. It's not because of us, Montana. It's not because we're a soft-ass fan base. It's because the front office runs this organization like a fucking – oh, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you can cuss. We cuss over here. You
Okay. This organization is run like a fucking country club. That's what it is. It's the Dallas Country Club of Texas. Like, that's what it is.
Ron said it last year when he came to play against us. D, he came in and he said, "Hey, when you come in, it's like a country club atmosphere." Yes. He said it out of his mouth last year. And you know why he said it? Because he's throwing digs. He's basically saying, "We don't respect y'all. We're not scared of y'all. Whenever we come in and play y'all, we're going to beat you because you're soft."
I'm going to get a pedicure at halftime and come out and put up 21 more points, you bitches.
So Yeah, so Robbie says he thinks it started with Garrett. I think it actually started with Wade, and I love Wade so much. Wade shouldn't have been a head coach.
It started when Jerry's ego got mad
at
Jimmy.
We knew that, but you know what? But here's the thing.
He didn't be mad at him, and he had 2 peacocks and a bar at 2:00 in the morning when everybody should have been to bed, and the Cowboys been cursed ever since.
Well, see, this is what happened, y'all. Y'all remember when we had Parcells and they were crying? Remember? Oh, it's not tough enough. It ain't tough enough. They went and got Parcells, right? It's too hard. It's too hard. And then Wade came. And then when Wade came, it's too soft. That's what it is. That's the problem, dog. Right there. You know what I'm saying? Dallas can't function with soft-ass coaches. We need hard-ass coaches. We need hard-ass organization because Dallas is that limelight, spotlight, have a good time. If you don't have a coach that's going to crack that whip on these players, it's too high society. It's been like that. If you look through it, it's been like that. When we are successful is when we have the hard-ass coaches. Just period. We can't have soft. If we got soft, we ain't going to win.
He had a hard last year. He was awful. He had 2 of them. Rod Marinelli and Chris Rashad are awful coaching.
I mean, they love their guys, though.
I don't know. Chris Rashad got in a fist fight with Ben Bloom, and they sent Ben Bloom home because Ben Bloom was being mean to Jalen. You can't be mean to Jalen. Don't be mean to Jalen, not the brand.
I mean, well, let's just keep it real. Rob Eberflus, I don't give a hell what he says when he keep on saying I didn't want to step on Rob's. When he said I didn't want to step on Rod's toes, no, that was saying was I'm not going to be able to coach this defense that I want. Rod is always going to be in my ear. You Jones is always going to be in my ear. So I'm going to take my ass over to Indianapolis where nobody's going to be in my ear. And guess what? My team is balling. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, Jim Irsay is too fucking high all the time to be able to actually get into the team.
But we see it though, right? Eberflus leaves. He says, "I want to do it my way," and what happens?
And how many guys have left Dallas? And I know this was in the chat earlier too. How many guys leave Dallas and ball out? Coaches, and players.
I don't want to put my feet on the stream. Yeah. I only got 20. But
all right. So, hey, going forward, what do you think this record's going to end up being, fellas? Going forward, what do you think? How do you think we'll end in these 7 games?
4 wins.
4 wins.
4 wins.
What do you think, Dave?
Wait. Which games do you think that they win?
I think they're going to beat Minnesota.
They're going to win this weekend. If they don't win this weekend, they're going to cover the spread, which they've only covered the spread once this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think they'll beat Washington.
Minnesota, Washington, Baltimore, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Philadelphia, New York. They can legitimately beat Minnesota, beat Washington, beat Cincinnati. San Francisco is decimated.
They can beat San Francisco.
They can win. They can
win all games for real. Let's keep it really real, couldn't they? Let's keep it really real.
They can win. They can win most of these football games. Will they? They won't. They're not gonna win most of these football games. That's not gonna happen, and they shouldn't. And
it's gonna be glorious to give Jason Garrett the division win. He gets to get that moral victory, and then New York gets to go into the playoffs and get absolutely waffle stomped. And we're going to get our 8th or 9th overall draft pick. It's going to be glorious.
Here's my official prediction, okay? They're going to lose to Minnesota. They're going to beat Washington. That puts them at 3 wins. They're going to lose to Baltimore. They're going to lose to Cincinnati. They're going to lose to San Francisco because they are not stopping that rushing attack. Oh, my God. I forgot about that. It doesn't even matter who. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Inflatable tube man at quarterback. They're going to lose to San Francisco.
They are going to beat Philadelphia. And then they're going to lose to the Giants in the last week for the division.
So we're thinking all 4-12. A lot of people in the chat are saying 4-12 as well. I think 4-12 because I said 2, maybe 3 wins. That's what I said. So let me ask y'all this before we get ready to head out here. You remember, is this eerily similar? This is the only hope I can live off, fellas. is this eerily similar to maybe 2014 when we had the good season, had the injuries in 2015, and we ended up 4-12, and people were saying, well, we're 4-12, but we don't feel bad because we're only a few players away. They get Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Jalen Smith comes in the fold, and 13-3, we're right back at it. Do you think this is maybe this type of thing and this type of deal that there may be a couple players away even with this record?
Darren McFadden didn't cost you $20 million. He got 1,500 yards in 2015.
I'm just saying, do you think this team is a couple players away? Like if we know, obviously we're not going to go in.
This team is one player away, Ray. If you have Dak Prescott, you're winning this division by 5 games right now, and I will fight anybody that says otherwise. This division is trash. The NFC is trash. There's one good team in the NFL, and that's Kansas City, and they're not even that good when Mahomes is on his bullshit because they almost lost to the Chargers when he got outplayed by Herbie for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This team it's close. It's been close for a long time, and for a while it was Garrett and the that staff kind of holding it back, and then this year it was just a blow up. I mean, you had a brand new coaching staff, brand new scheme on defense, a whole new staff defensively, and then you have all of these injuries. Personally, I think that this is a team who can come in next year. I don't expect the Giants to get much better. I definitely don't expect Washington to get much better. Mm-hmm. And as long as that guy's playing quarterback in Philly the way that he is right now, I don't fear the Eagles either. So this is the first time in my life. Where I really feel that the Dallas Cowboys, if they keep Dak Prescott around and don't fuck that up, I really believe that they can win the division for the next 3-4 years.
Easily.
And that's something that I've never, ever thought in my life for the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't care who the hell's on the rest of the roster. Give him 2 tackles and a wide receiver and somewhat of a top 17 defense.
I don't even think he needs the tackles at this point.
Put a position. Give him a center and a tackle. Give him 2 linemen. He's
good enough. Yeah, he's good enough at this point to where he can work without a fantastic offensive line, and that's something that a lot of people don't really understand yet. Well, he put up these numbers. He was on pace for 6,000 yards without both of his offensive tackles.
He was getting pressured at 2.2 seconds after the snap. 2.2. That is 0.3 faster than NFL average, and he was still cranking that ball. And, yeah, he had a couple untimely fumbles, but, I mean, I'm not even being a homer here. Has Dak Prescott ever had a fumble issue? No, he has not. He's never had a fumble issue. He's never had a turnover issue. That was an aberration of him pressing that damn thing to the rev, just like we're seeing Hustle the last 2 weeks. Pressing that thing to the rev limiter because that defense is so trash. He knows that if he doesn't get points on every damn possession, they don't have a snowball's chance in hell in winning that game.
Well, I wish it would have showed like that, like you showed those last 2 weeks. It'd have been a whole different story if we had them. Let me give a shout out to my dog Tariq Sling for the $5. Holly says the problem is we keep what you mentioned. D, stop, and you mentioned Mike. Stop buying Jerry Jones money, merchandise, everything. That's what you really got to stop on that. Now, before we head out of here, I want to ask the positions of need, D, since you really since you really kind of on that draft. Not positions of need, but where would you say the Dallas Cowboys right now? I know we had said, maybe a player or 2 away, but where do you think our needs are in the draft? Give me your top 5 needs in the draft for the Dallas Cowboys as of right now.
So just by position, it's cornerback, then it's defensive tackle, the one technique specifically, then it's safety, and then after safety, you can look at, linebacker, like it's just the whole defense. And I'll throw edge in. So literally, it's just the entire defense, really. But I'm not a huge edge guy. I don't think that this class is going to be particularly good in edge guys.
You got a Randy Gregory could probably sign low 3-year deal.
They're overdrafted all the time. Randy Gregory is still going to be around. I think that they're going to try to do whatever they can to keep Alden Smith around. I don't think
he's going to stay.
Well, I don't know how much money he's going to get because after the first couple of weeks,
no damn money. You know that, D. Ain't going to lowball him.
They're never going to win in money whip competitions, which is why I know they're going to lose Mike Gallup.
And they're probably going to lose Gallup, but
they lost Dwayne Harris for $2 million.
You gotta rebuild the secondary. And you're going to lose Cheeto probably. You're going to lose Jordan Lewis. You're going to probably lose Xavier Woods. You got to rebuild that secondary.
Yeah. Okay.
And you got to trade that first-round pick in 2022 for a football player in August.
Well, we're going to see what happens, man.
That's how you fix it. You go get your Minka Fitzpatrick. Not that. Obviously, you can't do that one. But
why'd you have to bring that up?
I don't trust these Joneses, dog. So I don't be getting all hyped up about this stuff and excited because I don't trust him. Just like I don't even trust him with Dak Prescott. If y'all talking about the reason why y'all didn't sign Dak Prescott, it came out Jerry's mouth that it was because of COVID and all these other little excuses, and you signing everybody else. I don't even trust you with Dak. And if you do a dumb bonehead decision and go out and I don't care what anybody's saying about that team tank crap, you better not go out there and lose a Dak Prescott, dog. Because if you go over there starting over one of these rookie quarterbacks, I'm going to be pissed. I don't know if I'm going to shut down my YouTube channel for like a year. And I'm not going to talk no Cowboys damn football if they do that shit.
Oh, make no two ways about it. I've said this several times. I've been a Cowboys fan my entire life. I was born into Cowboys fan. If they fuck this Dak Prescott deal up, I'm gone. I can't handle the ineptitude anymore. You muted yourself, Dalton.
You muted yourself.
Thank you. All right, I'm sorry. I need to address something before we get out of here. Devin the Dude 35. We got to talk about this.
What?
Wasn't sold on Dak Prescott pre-injury because he has 2 left feet in the pocket.
What?
Sir, please do yourself a favor and watch Dak Prescott in 2019 and 2020. You know what? Actually, go to my Twitter account because I have.
You can't talk to them people, Dalton. But
I have all of his shit on my Twitter account. I wrote a piece on him every single week last year for Blue Chip Scouting that was strictly on him. That man in the pocket specifically has been outstanding the past 2 seasons. He is one of the best players in the league at quarterback at buying time, finding space in throwing windows in the pocket. I will not allow people to slander the man on unrealistic expectations because you don't watch the other 31 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, you really don't, man, because they do the same damn thing. And one last thing before we get off, and I'm going to let people find out where you at, Dalton, because you was amazing today. Mike, you know how you always bring it. But one last thing bouncing off that, Dalton. When they were talking about Ezekiel Elliott and those things of that nature, Dak Prescott, to me, this year, he was already the guy from day one for me. But this year, he really solidified where, well, you don't need Ezekiel Elliott. You can roll with a Tony Pollard. This ain't no diss of no Ezekiel Elliott. It's just a stepping up of a Dak Prescott. When you become that franchise quarterback, then you don't need those, like they said, well, Dak needs a great offensive line. He needs great receivers. He needs a great running back to be good. Dak don't need that now, not in my opinion. Dak can do this on his own. He can carry a team now. If you get him some good pieces, you don't have to have all the great pieces. You get him some good pieces, and I feel like it's going to roll. We just got to get this defense together, dog. We got to get a defensive mind in the building. That's my last thing on this. I'm going to get y'all last opinion. We need a defensive mind in the building. We don't. We too offensive minded.
Yeah.
He's in the building. He's just a player.
Yeah.
Right now.
Sean Lee.
Yeah.
Yep. Go, sir. Go.
Make him defensive coordinator now.
Speak this into the universe, and then I'm going to open up my PayPal and have everybody donate to me because I've been talking about this shit for 3 years. Sean Lee is your defensive coordinator. Facts.com.
Yeah. I'm with that. I'm with that all the way, and we would be at nasty.
He needs to be a L linebacker coach to get his feet wet. The motherfucker's been a linebacker coach for the last decade.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. That's been in my head, not long as yours, Mike. But I just been watching it. And the longer he's on the roster, the last 2 years, I'm like, dude, just move him to coaching because he's already
Rob Ryan,
he's already coaching.
Wade Phillips, the Marinellis, the damn.
He would be the next great. He would be the next great, I think. Because he has just a different
all his mind. He is Peyton Manning of the defense. He thinks he just sees numbers and football and it's facts. Thank you. Facts.com. Sean Lee for DC.
Yeah, Sean, let's all vote for that. Sean Lee for defensive coordinator. If we get that in the building, I feel good, but we'll see. But hey, man, I appreciate you guys jumping in here, man. It was an awesome show. I really appreciate you, Dalton. Thank you, Mike, for telling have Dalton come in here. That was awesome of you. Hey, I hope we can do this again, Dalton. I really love your mind, especially on the draft. I waited a little bit to a little later, but now I see the way our record is. I'm gonna have to jump into it. But I really hope you jump on here again, man. You got a fascinating mind, especially with that draft. And just give a shout out where they can follow you. You got the bluechipscouting.com, but let everybody know, because I know you did a little transition. Let everybody know where they can follow you at.
Yeah, so you can find my work at the Pro Football Network. I will actually have a mock draft out, a 2-round mock draft out on Monday or Sunday, I guess it comes out. You can also find me on Twitter at Dalton B. Miller. Find me on Twitch at Dalton B. Miller. I play Warzone, and I do a little bit of all-22 scouting over there for these college guys. I want, with all 22, it's so hard to get your hands on, especially if you are just a fan. I have to scratch and claw to get what I got. And so when you get that college all 22, I want people to be able to see it. And so I put it out there for people to see, and hopefully they like what I give.
Yeah, and that's freaking awesome, because like you said, me and Mike were talking about it off air, how that college all 22 is like damn gold. It's like a damn dinosaur.
You ever seen Waterworld? It's a jar of dirt. That college 22 is a jar of dirt.
It is that. If you get that, what's that one damn movie with Denzel Washington and he found the Bible? What was the damn and he was way back in the
Book
day.
Of Eli.
Yeah, book. That's what the college all 22. That's the Book of Eli, dog, for real. You get your hands on that, you is the man. But appreciate it, and I'm gonna definitely check that out, Dalton, because I need to get up on that. Mike, tell them where they can find you at, big dogs. You know how we always do every Thursday, burgers and blitzes.
Got the Twitter handle at Not To Be Trite. Got the podcast coming soon, trying to get it off the ground. Got the framework, gonna rebrand it a little bit, and then that's basically just Twitter's where you can find me. I'm on there all the time. Hit me up.
Yes. Hey, and I'd like to thank all the mods that were in here. Great crowd. A lot of good questions. Good engagement. Appreciate you, D, for having good engagement with the lives. We always appreciate that. Like I said, we're gonna bring them back again. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, because I'm gonna have Miss Brianna Dix back on the show. She's gonna kick with me tomorrow night. So you all want to check that out. That'll be another good one, and then we get ready for this Minnesota game, fellas. So salute to both of you guys again. I appreciate you guys once again, and man, we definitely got to do this again, because I really had a good time with you guys, kicking that Cowboys knowledge, man.
Yes, sir.
I love doing this stuff. Thank you for having me.
Hey,
great time. This has been a good one.
Yeah, definitely a good one. So from Silver and Blue Nation, Mike White, Burgers and Blitzes, and my guy Dalton Miller, that up and comer, that fresh look. Check us out. We'll be talking to you soon, man. Hey, peace.
Bye, boss.